What's up, gamers? Today I'm here to review the EasySMX M10 mobile controller, and this has quite a few features that punch well above its price point, and so I'm here to go over all of those and why you might want to pick one of these up. Let's get into it. Now, full disclosure, EasySMX did send this controller over to me to review. Now, no money exchanged hands, and they aren't seeing this review beforehand, so this is my honest review of the product. And I have been using this for about 3 weeks now, and I do feel like I have a firm grasp on how well it performs. But let's just go over the box. The packaging is very nice. It does list some services that it supports down here. A couple of omissions to this would actually be Apple Arcade and PlayStation Remote Play. It does do both of those things as well. Now, there are two different versions of this controller. One is a USB-C controller and one is a Lightning controller. So if you have an iPhone 14 or older, you want to pick up the Lightning version. They're priced the same. If you have an Android phone or an iPhone 15, you can pick up this one, the USB-C controller. It works great with both. On the back, we see some of these special features here. We have linear Hall triggers, ergonomic grip design, Hall effect sensing joysticks. We see that it is designed for Android because this controller came out before the iPhone 15 had USB-C. It's in an Xbox layout, and we have a one-key screenshot button. Since this does plug directly into your phone, we have reliable direct plug technology with zero latency. There are also two extra remappable buttons and a turbo function, and I'll show you those remappable buttons because they're a little different than what you might be used to. But when we open the box, it's really not much to it. The controller is right there inside. It's packaged very much like the Backbone 1 controller, if you've watched any videos on that, or if you have one of those, except this comes in at half the price of a Backbone 1. This is $50, $49.99, and that's when it's not on sale. You will want to note that underneath the lid is a USB-C cable. This is one of those flat cables. It's not rounded. It seems to be a well-constructed cable. I haven't used it because I have so many other cables laying around already, but just feeling the cable itself and kind of moving these ends around, this is a decent USB-A to USB-C cable. So then again, here we have the controller. It is one of these retractable type controllers. The spring feels more than adequate to hold your phone. Underneath this white part, there's two things under here. One is this little rubber piece. I'm gonna get to that in a second. And then the other is this user manual. And this is in a couple of different languages in here. It pretty much just tells you where the buttons are, how to install it on your phone. It shows you how to use turbo mode and how to program your extra buttons. But other than that, there's not much to this manual. Now, this rubber adapter piece in here actually took me quite a while to figure out how to use this. I wasn't sure how it was supposed to be applied to the controller, and there's nothing in the manual about it. So that's something I would like to see changed. Let us know what it's for, because I'm still not entirely sure, but it does. I did finally figure it out. It fits right around here. It just kind of sits there. It does have this section here that slips into the controller right there, and the pressure of your phone on the spring will keep it there. But I'm ultimately not sure why this adapter exists. For a second, I thought it was actually so that you could keep your case on your phone, but that's actually not it, because it doesn't do anything for this other side. And so my case kind of will sit on here, but on this other side, it won't go under the lip. So I do have to take my case off my phone to use this controller. But maybe it's for if your camera has an extra big camera bump or something. I'm really kind of baffled about the adapter. So I haven't been using it and haven't felt that I needed it. Now, this controller does have rubber pieces in here built in that are not removable, and it really does keep the controller in here nice and tight and secure. They're very grippy. So just taking a nice close look here, we have a turbo button, a screenshot button, a home button, a settings button, and your start and select or plus and minus buttons there. Now, these are not full-size sticks, but they are Hall sticks, and they are a little bit bigger than Joy-Con style sticks. So they're somewhere in between full-size and Joy-Con. And I do appreciate that they're at least bigger than Joy-Con sticks. The Backbone 1, I think these are a little bigger than the Backbone 1 sticks, and they feel pretty good. These face buttons are also good. They have a nice resistance to them. They're a little bit on the small side, but again, not as small as Joy-Con buttons. All of the other face buttons have these micro switches. I'm not a big fan of those, but I get it, so it's fine that you don't use those as much. Trigger wise, I want to show you this because this is where the extra buttons come in. So usually when you have those reprogrammable, remappable extra buttons, they're back here. These back paddle buttons, these aren't. They're right here. Little rectangular buttons right here on top, that M1 and M2 button there. So it's kind of an odd placement. I mean, they're very easy to get to actually, but you can't use all three of these things at the same time, but at least they're included, and I don't even use those buttons. Usually I forget that they're even there, so this hasn't really affected me personally, but if you are someone who really likes using those remappable buttons, you should just know that the placement is a little bit different. It's a little bit unique. The triggers are nice. I mean, they don't have a lot of travel distance, but they are analog and Hall effect triggers. They feel very precise to me in the game. I haven't had any problem with those. The bumpers, again, we have those micro switches on the bumpers, but the bumpers work really well. They're very responsive. So everything has worked really well. Now, the D-pad. I want to talk about this D-pad for a second because I really do like side scrollers. I like platformers. I can't say that the D-pad hasn't worked. In fact, it has worked. I've been shocked at how well it has worked because it feels cheap. If any part of this controller feels cheap, it's this D-pad. In fact, the whole D-pad will just press down if you push right in the center. If I press hard, I can get it to go past the surface of the controller. I don't like that, but at the same time, everything that I've tested with it has worked, and so I can't say that it doesn't work. I'm not a super big fan of how it feels, I guess, and so I would like to see that improved in a future iteration as well. You see what I mean? Just maybe give it a more secure pivot point. Don't let it press down past the surface of the device. One other thing I do want to point out is these little slots right here that are meant to redirect your audio up and towards you, and you can definitely tell when you're playing the game that audio is being pushed up and towards you from this right side. In fact, I know a lot of phones have like stereo audio now, including the iPhone, but this works so well that it actually felt like it was off balance. Like I could hear the right side a lot louder than the left side. Oh, and also it does have a charging port down here on the bottom, so you can charge your phone while it's in here, and that does support fast charging, which is pretty awesome. And then one last thing before I put the phone in, this USB-C port is made to be flexible. It has a little spring in it, and the purpose of that is so that you can slide this in at an angle and not tear up your phone port. So you can see I've slid this in at this angle, no problems. The light has come on, and then I can slide this down and it is now in the controller. And that's really it. There's no messing with Bluetooth settings or anything. This is plug and play. And once you plug in, I mean, you're ready to go. Sometimes the controller will shut itself off so it doesn't drain your phone battery. But if you just tap the home button right here, it will turn itself right back on. I haven't had a single connectivity issue with this controller, and it's been absolutely fantastic. So I actually find that the joysticks are really, honestly, incredibly accurate. Everything works really well. And I know they say that there's, zero latency, and I'm totally inclined to believe them. I haven't had a single problem with not only accuracy, but just the timing of things. I mean, it just is accurate all the way across the board. That's what you want in a controller, because if your controller has any kind of lag, which I have seen in some of the Bluetooth controllers that I've tested, and lag can literally mean the difference between winning and losing, and it doesn't take much to throw you off. Honestly, this has not been an issue here at all. So the iPhone recently got Emulation, as everyone probably already knows, and this also works with this. I mean, just plug and play right with Delta, and it was awesome. Just an awesome, easy, intuitive experience with no issues whatsoever. And so it's pretty awesome that this works even with something that, it wasn't designed or made for or is listed on the box, but it still works, and that's pretty great. So I do want to show you a little bit of platformer here. one of my favorites of all time, Super Mario Bros. 3. Just so I can show off this D-pad a little bit. You can see that it's not like I'm having an issue here. The D-pad is quick. It is responsive. My only issue with it is that it feels cheap. Even though it doesn't act cheap, it feels cheap. And so I just want you to know that if you buy this, you may feel this for the first time and be like, oh, I don't know about this, but it does in fact work, and there really aren't any issues. Gosh, I love this game so much. I think every gamer owes it to themselves to play through every world and every level of Super Mario Bros. 3.
Because it is amazing what they got out of the NES with this game. Every world feels completely unique, and the level design is a stroke of genius. And I couldn't appreciate that as a kid, but as an adult, I can. And so everyone should play this game.
All right, so that was a little Apple Arcade and a little emulation. What about PS Remote Play? I did have one issue, and I just want to point it out in the video because you might have the same issue. When it's about to connect to the console and display it, it's going to give me an error message. And I had to do a little research about that error because for some reason, when the controller is already connected, it won't log into PS Remote Play. It gives me this. It says, can't connect to your PS5, 8001 FFF. Okay, so then it just kicks me out. But if I take the phone out of the controller and I connect to the PS5 first, it will connect as you see here, and then I can plug this in to the controller and it works perfectly. So if you have this issue where it won't let you connect to PS Remote Play, just take the phone out, connect without the controller, then put the phone back in the controller, and you'll see it works. No issues whatsoever. And of course, lag is going to depend on your network connection and network speeds and stuff because you're playing remotely, but the controller works like a dream. It can take you right back to the home menu. It can pull up this menu, which you can scroll through. This is an issue I had with the Backbone 1 controller where I had to reach over and touch power off instead of being able to scroll through it for some reason. This works great with PlayStation Remote Play. It's the same with Game Pass. This also works with Call of Duty Mobile, which I don't play very often, but I did win my first match that I played with this controller. There's really not very many negative things to say about this controller. I wish that the D-pad felt a little better. I wish that the sticks were full-size sticks, but that's a personal preference. My main hope is that in the future we would be able to have a controller from EasySMX where you can keep your phone in its case. But this one does have, it has charging, it has the fast charging, it has the Hall effect triggers, it has the Hall effect sticks, it has no noticeable latency, and seriously, my phone is in here very securely. It holds the phone in place, and those rubber pads that are in here really do grip the phone. One other thing that I kind of wish was different, and again, this is just personal preference, but I wish that this was elongated a little bit, or maybe even a little bit thicker. It's just a little bit small. Like, I wish it was just a little more ergonomic, but also they want you to be able to travel with this thing, and I understand that you want something that is going to not take up very much space. One other significant thing I want to note is that this controller doesn't have an internal battery. It uses the battery of your phone, but the battery drain on your phone is negligible at best. I mean, it truly doesn't seem to affect your battery life in any noticeable way, and that makes a lot of sense. I mean, the controller isn't really powering much of anything. There's no rumble motors in this. There's no RGB lights on this. It's just buttons, and so it really shouldn't consume very much power at all, and it doesn't. So who is this for exactly, and what are the use cases for something like this? Because I know in other mobile controller videos I've seen comments about like, well, what's the purpose of this? Who needs something like this? Can't you just play, get a Switch or whatever? Well, I am blessed enough to have a Switch and a PlayStation 5 and an Xbox. I have plenty of other things I can play on, but sometimes I just want to sit on the couch with my wife and be next to her, but she wants to watch something on the TV that I'm not super interested in. There's a use case for this, because maybe I'm working through a PlayStation 5 game. Like right now, I'm playing Immortals of Avium and having a much better time than I expected. But if she is wanting to watch something on TV, I want her to be able to do that at night after the kids have gone to bed and she's had a long day. And this allows me to sit there with her and play over remote play, and I can have fun. she can enjoy the TV, and everybody's happy. And that's just one example. I mean, there are phone games that I want to play. I want to be able to play the Delta emulator on my iPhone. I want to be able to play Apple Arcade games. There's a lot of Apple Arcade games that I'm like, you know what, this has potential, but I don't want to play it because I don't want to use touchscreen controls. And so a controller makes a lot of sense. So whether you're a more casual gamer who just wants to be able to play on your phone every once in a while when you're sitting in your living room or taking a break at work, but you want actual physical buttons, this is a great solution for that. Or if you're a more hardcore gamer, but you can't always have control of the TV or always be with your console or your PC, and you want to take advantage of being able to play remotely, this makes a lot of sense. It's lightweight, you don't have to charge a battery, it works with no latency with your device. I mean, what more can you ask for? So when it comes to that $50 price and the value that this has, I think this is completely worth it. When you compare this to something like the Backbone 1, you're getting a controller that does all of the same things, except it has Hall effect sticks and it's half the price. And while it might feel a little cheaper in your hand, it works just as well. And the total package here is really excellent. Hall effect sticks, Hall effect triggers, really next to zero battery drain. It works with every service I've tried to use it with. You have zero latency inputs. Hang on, let me take care of these bad guys real quick. Take my venom suit. Yeah. Oh no. And they're probably all right. So I think this is priced appropriately at $50. If you can find it on sale for $40, say, you're getting a great deal. And if you find it for less than $40, you're basically stealing from EasySMX at that point. You're not getting a super elite pro controller here that's really expensive. You're getting a $50 controller, but it is a great grab and go mobile controller. It's not perfect, but it has a lot of really great features that make it worth owning. And that about wraps it up for the M10. Again, I really do like this controller. Of course, there are things that can be improved, but at this price point, I think you're getting more than what you're paying for. But let me know what you think about the M10 in the comments, and if you're interested, check out that affiliate link in the description below. Don't forget to like and subscribe and share this video with a friend. I think this is a worthwhile accessory in many different scenarios. But until next time, stay kind and encouraging out there, and I'll catch you on the flippity flip.